I love it. I love it.
Had a
Okay.
lot of. I just cleared a work table because I was in the living room and my wife it's to look like just clean your room, get out of.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. All right.
had a lot of. It's a lot better. The lighting.
Okay. Tama will be joining us shortly, I am sure.
Okay. Yes.
Probably taking care of the puppy. So.
I was out online, Facebook. Hey guys, we're starting. Here's the link. Then Instagram, and I said, let me just get many people as a reminder.
Just got to get over here.
And after,
There she is. She is waiting to come on in. All right. Yes. So exciting. I love it.
yes, yes, yes.
I got the two L's with me today.
Look at that.
Welcome all those who are watching either online right now or later. We definitely appreciate you watching these first Sundays and just breaking bread with the Black Poet Laureate Society. We're doing big things. And today I have two amazing laureates with me. I have now, I know I'm gonna mess this up because nope, I'm not. I know where
No, you're
you
not.
are. Okay, Tama L. Brisbane, who is Poet Laureate Emerita of Stockton, California. Is
Oh,
that right?
That's right.
Okay, wonderful. And I also have with me Mr. Henry L. Jones, who is the one and only poet laureate that Hendersonville, Tennessee has ever seen. And he's still serving. So he is just doing big things, still making moves. You know
thank
what? Hats
you.
off to you, because after 3 years, I couldn't keep going. I was done. I was like,
It's called pacing yourself.
I
And I
didn't.
figured
I
out, I
did
said,
not.
wait a minute, wait a minute. I don't report to like somebody about literary events, so I can spread these out, you know.
Yeah, see, I did not pace myself well at all. I was
Really.
all in every month somewhere.
Yeah.
I ran myself a little ragged, but
Well,
I
hey,
did the
now,
same. Let's see, I was appointed in 2015 as the inaugural poet laureate. It was 1 year with possibly a 1 year extension if they liked my work.
hmm.
Um, and then I signed off last year.
Wow. See,
whoa,
And there,
that's longer than 2 years.
yeah,
yeah, kind of,
yeah.
kind of.
Wow. Okay. And now there's another coming into office to take your place. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, it's beautiful to be able to start to be the beginning of something and then to see it grow from just, the seed it was when you first took over. So I know you did some ground changing things there. So tell us a little bit about what you've done as a laureate.
Let's see. I think the thing I'm most proud of. Let me not say that. The three things that I'm most proud of is that I got to be the inaugural poet laureate for Stockton's first Black mayor, who was also for a time a youth poet with us when he
Wow,
was
that's dope.
in high school, Michael Tubbs. So that was fun. I got to do the inaugural poem for him. And then the first assignment that he gave myself and Brandon Leake was to go to the All American City competition and bring back a title for Stockton that we'd not had in 11 years. So we
I
did
love it.
that. The second thing that I'm proud that I did was actually, my city wasn't very happy with me when I did it, but in 2017, the city of Modesto had what they called a straight pride parade. And there was a counter protest being organized against the Proud Boys in Modesto. And they invited me because they knew how close I was with my LGBTQ community because I'm their straight auntie T. And asked me to come and read a particular poem of mine. And I said, yeah, I'd be happy to. And my city was like, maybe you shouldn't. It's kind of, they're going to be armed and it could possibly be, dangerous as well as controversial. And I was like, yeah, that's where I'm going. Got something in my eye. So what I learned about confronting Proud Boys is basically they are cosplaying with guns and numbers. And if you, like any bully, if you stand up to them, they're going to back down. And that's what they did when I did my poem. So I was really happy about that. The third thing that I did was in 2017. I got to mute because I got something in my eye, but I'll continue talking.
Okay.
In 2017, I was invited to create a poem for our inaugural World Peace Rose Garden that we have here in Stockton. And that's part of an international community of cities that have World Peace Rose Gardens. And I had been asked to do a poem for the second year. And that was a year they had a competition with the little babies who were invited to create poems about peace. And so I said, oh, that would be so cool. I also knew that some of my haters and people who weren't necessarily happy with me being appointed poet laureate were going to be there. And anytime you are Black in this country, you're going to be the first at something. And there's going to be people who are going to be pissed off that you're the first of something. And so that means you got to show up in all your Black girl magic to show them why you are the first at something. And so I was in my petty with a higher purpose mode that day. And so I wrote a peace poem in honor of our 13 winners that was 13 verses with 13 words in each verse because I could. And they liked it enough where they sent the poem and me to Ebenezer Baptist Church for the 25th anniversary of the I Have a Dream World Peace Rose Garden. And that's how Martin Luther King III came to ask for my work and looked me dead in my eye and said, your words matter. And at that point, I was good. I was good for life. So those would be my three standout moments. Yeah.
Cool. Henry, what's yours? What's your standout moment since you became a laureate?
Well, when I began, I was inducted in 2019, and it was slowly as places were opening up. So we had a ceremony, small, but it was explained that limited number of people. I love seeing, I was a visiting writer for the Gallatin Public Library of Youth. And there I saw some of the, actually one of the youth, because I could only have so many people. Family was there, and also the youth librarian. That was special to me because when things happened during COVID, you knew that hardly anyone would be there. And I think it was that following week, after all the excitement in the paper and that event and so forth, I said, wow, people are afraid to come out. I need to do something phenomenal to get people to come out, because I was also the poet in residence at the Hendersonville Public Library. And then once they get there, they're not afraid. So I had to break that fear of people feeling confined, feeling unsafe, and then let them know you're at a place that's safe. And the vulnerability of even writing, because in our society, we don't have a lot of writers. Everyone's on TV. So that was my first moment, that first year, because I met people that, yes, I was the inaugural poet laureate. I was a Black guy. And there were people like, what exactly is a poet laureate? So that was explained. And there was one, so how did you become poet laureate?
They don't know.
Right. And because of the city, some people were wondering why I was there, And I had some knuckleheads, they're thinking, oh, is this one of these diversity projects or something. But then at
Wow.
the time, when I read my work and shared my work, they understood why I was selected as a poet. And
Mhm.
I enjoyed that whole year because I helped people break down barriers, then
Mm.
express some of the feelings they were encountering during COVID. And then I
That's
had all these activities. Every month I was changed. I had this maze inside the library with footsteps and poems. I had a poetry as an artist. I said, well, I'm going to do something where they could go up and then write a poem, a small poem, and then attach it to the tree. And there was a write up on the statement. We did a timestamp video of me outside in the front lobby. As you entered the front of the library, I had chalk because we couldn't paint it. And I had drawn this maze that people had to walk, and then there were these verses on it and so forth. And some people saw me doing it and they didn't want to walk. But then I got people walking and they were walking safely because I was like, I got to put this in people's face. They're not used to poetry
good
in
stuff.
general, even though we didn't deal with COVID. They don't know what a poet laureate is, so I need to break down so many barriers. And what I love when people start telling me is I had a little station. I would meet every Wednesday in the library. People would come to me, I got a book of poetry. And people would come back and tell me what they read and what they loved. A couple of people were talking about,
Wow,
I
that's
started
awesome.
writing poetry. So that really excited me because poetry might seem a little intimidating to people, but I
It
know
is.
just like music, there's something for everyone, you know? There's something for
Yep.
everyone. So I enjoyed that year. Reconnecting with some historical sites that I had written about, because when our anthology was being organized, a certain someone, the editor,
I don't know who that
talked
is.
about every poet laureate in the book should write about their city, county, or state. And I had written about different regions, but nothing specifically about the city of Hendersonville. And being a history lover and all, I composed this poem about the city, all the things I've known, places I've visited. And that was refreshing because it pulled out. I started reading it privately to different people, these historical societies and people just in theater, friends in theater and so forth. And they were talking about how visual it was. Well, long story short, fast forward, we're now doing a film on it. So it touched
Nice.
lives of
Yeah.
people that knew Hendersonville. There's like, you put it all here, all here. You really like you
Yeah.
walked the trail. So it's being turned into a film. And just 2 weeks ago, I got the notice that I got a grant. The grant from this I want to get the name straight here. Yeah. The Mutual Aid Society. Yes, the
Come
Mutual Aid
on, Henry.
Okay,
grant, but
let's go.
8 poets and 8 recipients, because we're not all poets. We have different projects and just sponsors. So I'm really excited of bringing that poem to another level. And so that's another excitement. Those three main things are what keep me going. And as we talked about being worn out, there's certain things that are done up like throughout Poetry Month, open mics, going representing
Yes.
literary events, sharing poems at different spots. But these long-term projects, that's what
Yeah,
keeps me kind of fueled along the way. Yeah.
yeah.
I love that. Ah, so does that editor that,
Very,
inspired you to
very
write that
keen.
piece,
Yeah, I
do they
need
get a
to
piece
have
of
a
that grant?
during opening night. I hope I can get her to come and attend too, because she doesn't know when she opens. When you're as a poet, you write something and say, yeah. And after I wrote that, I was like, yeah. And then I wondered too, when she suggested, I was like, how come I haven't? So I really commend her for thinking of that fabulous idea.
That's
Thank
awesome.
you very much, sister. Yeah, yeah.
Oh man, I really I love being an inspiration. Like I
Yeah.
think I probably like that more than even writing the poem.
Yeah.
Um is inspiring others to write their own poems.
Yes.
And so That really makes me happy. Yeah.
Thank you.
Glad. And glad that it's doing so well. A film. Look at you. Look
Yeah.
at you. That's absolutely awesome. And
So
Tanya,
can we hear the piece that's going to be on the film, or do we have to
It
wait for
is
the?
here. I have it lined up to read it, of course. Yes, because I said I
Emma
was
said,
oh,
yeah.
wait a minute. I'm gonna mention this. I need to, of course, recite it, So yeah.
Okay, cool beans.
Yeah. I can't wait. I can't wait. I love it. It's one of my favorite pieces in the book, actually.
Thank you.
Um, so yesterday I went to a workshop and it was on imposter syndrome,
Ooh.
which sometimes I do feel as though I struggle with as a poet that started in a slam world, right? I started off writing slam poetry and then just kind of fell in love with it, took courses, and I feel as though at times when I step into places of academia,
Mhm.
that because my beginning was not academic, right? It was in this world of slam and competition that I don't fit, you know what I mean? And so um how do you all, if you even struggle with it or have ever struggled with it, how do you handle that imposter syndrome or that comparison? We won't call it imposter, but just that comparison syndrome that tends to creep up in your mind like, oh, that person does this better than me or different than me. How do you handle those moments?
My imposter syndrome is so well broken in now. It fits me like a pair of jeans. We go everywhere together.
I love that.
I love it.
I came in to this work, this station, being neither a veteran from the slam world, even though I held and curated adult and youth slams, nor was I from academia because I was not a published poet when I was first appointed. What I am is a fan, a lifelong fan of poetry,
Mm,
and I love creating platforms for people's voices to be discovered and accepted and elevated. And so I had to wrestle with that mightily at first. Not published, not competitive, not touring. But when you're wired for this, you're wired for it.
yes.
When it's the thing that's given to you, that's a
Mm,
different responsibility than something that you go towards yourself. And
that's
I knew
good.
that it was given to me. And so I just took the struggle with the imposter syndrome as part of the territory. And
Mm,
knowing that I had to model what I mentored to the youth, which is here's what I learned. I have a profound fear of heights. I found myself on the island of Kauai on top of Waimea Canyon, which is 3,000 feet deep. It's where they shot Jurassic Park and Pirates of the Caribbean.
Wow.
And
oh my
there's a
goodness.
place on the trail that doesn't have guardrails. And I kind of stood close to that edge and I looked down and I saw the little white things moving around, and those were the birds. And what I learned about fear is that for me, I don't get over it. What I have done is learn to put it to the side while I do my work. Then I'll put it back on. So I will freak out in, in front of a performance. I can find space to do the thing I'm there to do. And then after, I freak out again. Did I do it well? Did anybody get anything out of it? How was it received? And then I just remember breathing.
Mhm.
What I do now is I actively confront my imposter syndrome by accepting spaces that would have normally intimidated me a few years ago, by accepting projects that I might think, I don't know if you should be doing that at this point in your career.
Mm.
at your age. And that's how I came up with my hashtag, elder is also a verb. That keeps me going. So that's how I roll with it.
Mm. That makes my heart happy. Thank you.
Oh, yay.
What about you, Henry? Is that something that you ever deal with?
Before I heard the term and how it was or the phrase and how it's described or defined, I think I had remnants of that. My fear, I've been writing all my life. I participated one or two slams in my life. I've never was into slam poetry. I know friends that are slam poets. And just like food, one thing tastes a certain way. Your taste buds are just attracted to certain dishes. But I've been writing since 7 years old. And it was just an extension of me. I started sharing my poetry while in college, undergrad. And I was amongst others that also wrote and enjoyed poetry. And after college, I just kept at it. There's never been a time I wasn't writing or painting. And I had a lot to express in terms of what was going on inside of me. And it was like a voice. So for me not to write or create art would be like me not breathing. And when Tamu spoke of breathing, when I'm in front of a group about to share a piece, I take my time, I breathe, and I put in my head that no one has ever thrown tomatoes or any kind of, those absurd myths about I've never even been in a crowd somewhere that someone's booed. The closest I've come is at a comedy club. I think it was Zany, some heckler was in, but other than that, so no one's going to do anything to you. And if it's a place where people are there to listen to poetry, that means they like poetry. They may not like what you have, but I figure there's someone out there. I take my time and I keep in my head constantly that what I'm sharing is to take someone back to the moment of what something I've experienced, or perhaps something that I'm telling a story of someone else. I'm not overconfident in it, but I say to myself, it's going to be okay. And typically it is. It really is. Because I'm trying to reach people. And just like we're talking here, that's the way I approach poetry. And if you see videos it's like, and people have told me, strangers, you're like talking to a friend, or you took me there, I could see it and feel it and blah, blah, blah. And that makes me, because that's my goal. So, so I guess that's the way I confront it. I truly think breathing is important. I have a mentee I just started with, and I told him, your poetry is great, but you're not allowing yourself to breathe. So we were on Zoom and I had to slow him down, and he could hear it and he could feel it. And I told him, you got to listen to yourself and breathe, because you have to keep, and he would write long poems like myself. So you have to breathe. You have to pace yourself.
And you'll pass out.
Right. and the second session, when he said, hey, can we meet today? We just meet for an hour. And I said, sure. I could hear it. And I told him how much. I said, you've been practicing. He said, yeah. Because he said what I said made sense in terms of breathing, like singing. Same thing. You have to have that controlled breath. So that's it.
Yeah.
Beans. All right, guys, it's time for us to share some poems. I'm so excited.
Me too.
Yes. I know. So, Tama, we're gonna let you go first, since this is your first Sunday.
Oh my God.
All of these first. We're gonna go ahead and let you go first.
I'm going to, so I just recently got a commission from the state of California, from the governor's office, to create a poem about our Delta region. because I am an advocate for eco-literacy and for young people learning to write poems of place. And because we inhabit a very specific place here in San Joaquin County, we're in the Central Valley. We are the world's largest area of class 1 soil, which means we can grow everything, which is why we send all of the produce out to the rest of the country. But, you know, as Black people, we've got complicated relationship with working the land. And my goal is to remind us that we are connected to the environment, being that we're also impacted by environmental injustice. We need to be on the front lines of environmental justice and stewardship and awareness. So anyway, all of that to say, I wrote a poem about the San Joaquin Delta. It's called Miss S.J. Delta. I am new to the San Joaquin Delta, like most of us are, really. No matter which 16th, 17th, or 18th century year your family explored, was brought, or immigrated here, around here, unless you are Yokuts or Miwok, living on her banks, banking on her abundance, creating centuries of community and culture, the Delta, she don't know you like that. But I'm starting to know her through her cornucopia of food festivals and farmers markets, through gatherings of great music from reggae to jazz, from bluegrass to hip hop, and through an artist's palette of feathered families that rest and nest in the branches of her sage-colored trees, through whole families of humans, colored mostly Black and brown, that huddle homeless on her shores, in the hopeful makeshift lines cast into her waters by forlorn fishermen with no other options for food, the Delta, generous for countless generations, makes a place for them all. I'm worried about her though, because in the summer, the Delta has trouble breathing. Her lungs impacted, endangered by the pea soup greenery of harmful algal blooms. An infestation of an indignity that not only sucks, it stinks. At her age, the Delta's going through the climate change. Her pH balance is off and off-putting, a sign that she's not well. And occurrences of algae-related illnesses, a sign that neither are growing numbers of us. She's not as strong as she used to be. I mean, she was always delicate, but now the Delta is frail, dangerously vulnerable to the thirst of moneyed men with too much greed and not nearly enough foresight, whose pipeline plans would violate her into non-viability. And yet the Delta blesses us with unmerited access to the elegance of her existence, with bike paths in the morning, hiking trails in the afternoons, and tranquil shade and strolls in the evening, with places to read and write and paint and plant and harvest and dance and discover, places to row, row, row your boat gently. Behold the dawns and sunsets with equal wonder. Because of the Delta, I now know how to not mark time. Just sitting next to her, watching her be, letting her teach me to do the same. And even though I'm new to the Delta, like most of us are, really, she allows me to treat her like home.
Oh man, that's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Oh goodness. You make me want to come out there.
It's gorgeous. It's
Oh,
gorgeous.
I love it. I love it. Um, I love the different ways that you talk about greenery, in your language and the different synonyms that you use for green, and it just kept sending like this montage of beautiful images through my brain. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah, the green is a highlight. Downtown Stockton, where we have a waterfront, the harmful algal blooms will turn the water that vibrant lime pea soup color.
Oh wow.
And it's literally dangerous for people who have compromised respiratory systems, and it
Mhm.
smells horrible. And it's a part of being impacted by climate change. And there's a huge fight for the longevity and security of the Delta, because our governor wants to dig tunnels underneath her to funnel water from the San Joaquin Valley down to Southern California. And that would result in the death of the Delta. So we're in an existential fight. And
Wow.
yes, it's about another shade of green.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah. Wow. We have people in the chat on YouTube that are just saying they love it. The Delta is female.
she is. That's why this poem is called Miss S.J. Delta.
I love it. I love it. I love it. All right, Mr. Jones.
Yes, yes. Okay, I'm going to start off with the poem. It is titled, In This Season, a Tribute to Hendersonville, Tennessee. I wanted to visit the historic rock castle, Hendersonville's oldest house in the city, and a forest I found and walked on a trail as gliding autumn leaves fell around me. The dry and frail remains were covered with many memories of summer's colors, which led me in this season to beauty, where its builder, the busy Daniel Smith, when perhaps stepping on a similar path while thinking about founding a place, a city by the lake, one day as a home, unveiled his vision like a sleepy dream. My journey on this thick autumn bed, only seen with an hunter's good eye, the slightly camouflaged sunken footprints showed layered leaves comforting the earth. I walked on them while carefully listening to the sounds of crushed, brittle notes cracking. While approaching the Rock Castle estate, I felt the presence of old souls near the house, a masonry wonder of huge stone bricks made by hands dreaming and longing for freedom, of enslaved people who constantly worked, who had cataract faint eyes of Africa, missed smiles and faces slowly faded. Blue words of spirituals drifted in the wind as their jealous fingers grasped along edges, competing like searching for gold for that right stone to chisel along a righteous score with one blow. To properly build a house where Daniel's wife, Sarah Mitchie, could feel safe and loved again, whose rooms in her whose room with rooms for her furniture, lace, and family, a home to entertain awaiting curious visitors, a home to serve a classy maven sweet tea, a home to draw faith where when she's alone and lonely, and a home to help build on another day. I entered the front doorway like a sneaky child. Inside, I found spirits who appeared as fog clouds, performing scenes in a play as though still alive. They talk with their voices of echoed silence, and I couldn't hear what they were saying, but I looked closely, trying to read their lips, wondering if they were at whispering to themselves, to each other, about me as the dead visitor. Night fell, showing them clearer and more real. As I walked by, I watched Daniel get closer, walking around. He went toward the door to go outside. I followed him to the shining full moon, He stood staring along the Cumberland River as waves pushed against the shore in lunar breezes, which caused his eyes to squint with visions of longing to find a place to rest and clear his head, like when he's tired and he lays on his wife's warm lap, forgetting his jobs of politics and surveying. She'd stroke his hairs and just enjoy their presence. His eyes cried about the native blood stains smeared on land which needed redemption. As his body faded, blending with the starry night, he vanished like a child playing hide and seek, gone along the river filled full of shed tears, wet memories made from the damned notions of orphaned land submerged with hidden shacks, families embedded in thick mud deemed existence. Steal away those torn pages of history as thin as in this season as to why ghosts still visit. Stories told about the city with dry, hushed lips, but still summoned by the land, a sacred calling, old black headstones clean with loving hands, caressing vinca vines as I walked to remember, which became roads now clearly paved with hope. A dream founded in 1784 for the city by the lake, what we call Hendersonville, Tennessee, was born.
Holy moly.
Yeah, he put it all in there. Just put it all in there.
Holy moly.
Yeah, I love it. That one line, oh my goodness, you said the cataract.
Do you call it the
Mhm.
cataracts? Yes.
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 You know, you said the cataract eyes of Africa.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, stop it.
Yeah,
People gonna want to come to Hendersonville after they hear that and
yeah.
see the film that goes with
Well,
it.
you know, there's some updates that are needed. And in the film, I have a cutaway actually from showing that quarry type scene. And I actually have someone in mind as an elder. And the fade away, it's like you'll see his thoughts. And there's another scene of him as a child in Africa or a
Mm.
childlike figure. And then there's an old person there and these other people, like a village type thing. Like he's connecting, because I think that regardless where those humans were from, everyone would remember something
Hmm.
and share memories from the first, after coming from the Caribbean basin and all that training mess. You know, you find yourself on these plantations. As human beings, we reach out to express our thoughts, our memories,
Hmm.
and what we've experienced immediately. But then you connect it, because I'm sure the first crowds that were stolen, gathered, call it what you want, they're like wondering what the hell is going on, you know? And then they see like what was 3/4 of the gathered people, the stolen people died, and then trained in the Caribbean basin, then brought to the States, and that had to be the most intense voyage.
Hmm.
And I don't care what age you were, your memories were ingrained, and when more people came, for instance, let's say to this same plantation later, they probably asked them, what did you experience?
Mm.
Because most did not survive the Middle Passage. And I think about that because we're kind of seen as this, the word is superhumorism. I was listening to a lecture where we don't feel pain, that we are so superhuman. And that's why we have this medical iniquity and so forth, where we won't get the same amount of pain relief and treatment because, hey, we're strong. We're superhuman, which is a lie.
Yeah.
We're human. Um, and we had to have something in us to endure that. And I want to just tap into that. And I'm trying to visually just show that because it's a short film, and to show reflection and to show, because I know no one forgot. And even today, generation after generation after generation, there are remnants
Mm-hmm.
of us that have been passed on in different ways
Yeah.
that we have not disconnected. Because I'd have heard people, oh, they snatched you out of Africa. You don't have any culture or anything. No, no, no.
That's so not
People
true.
found ways to preserve and connect and communicate, even though different language from different parts of the continent. They found words to, and that's what I see our people as. We're always holding on, keeping on, and we're holding on to what we've had, and we
Yeah.
grow from it. So,
I know my husband is a historian and creates audio documentaries and is
sweet.
currently working on Black history from a different point of view. Like he's
Mhm.
looking at the West and Mexico and that type of Black history. And it's amazing when you start to see, I'm glad that we have Tama here because she is out West. The history from the West is so different than the history that we're taught here in the South,
Yes.
and like
Yeah.
he was telling me, he's like, yeah, Martin Luther King went out West and they told him to go home. They weren't trying to hear that
Yeah. Yeah.
passive aggressive stuff when he went West. They were like, no, you can get out of here with that.
Yeah.
We fighting. And just really getting the full gambit of our Black history
Hmm.
is powerful. We have to see the wholeness and the totality of it,
Right.
and that it wasn't just the Middle Passage, that we
Right.
existed here on this continent long before slavery was brought to the South.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Um,
Try going through Mexico and not running into an Olmec head.
Exactly.
you're not gonna do
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And keep going south and see what you see.
it.
Yeah.
Oh yes. Okay, so we have a question for you all.
Okay.
And it is, how do you expose the unearthed talent in young children? So the babies, and I know Tama, this is your question. Tama's like, yes, good, yes. So because this is your heart. You love working with the babies. So you have a little person, let's say 6, 7, 8 years old, and their parent maybe sees that poetry is something that is just in them and it's starting to come out. Maybe it's how they speak, maybe it's just the way that they're communicating. How does a parent go about starting to bring that out of that child and expose that child to the right things so that they can truly dive into a giftedness that they have?
Oh, first, in order to be a good writer, you have to be a reader.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot separate one from the other. And you read everything. You read labels. You read the mail. You read the covers of things. You look at how things are printed. And there's colors that are used, and those give you feelings. And well, what does that feel like? I love going into a class. Now, my heart work is with the high schoolers and the first couple of years in college, but especially the high schoolers that are disengaged from English language arts and will
Yes.
sit back of the room and go, fuck poetry. Ooh, those are my heart. I love it.
Those are ones we won't.
Pieces. But with the young ones, I just finished doing a couple of workshops with a charter school that's coming online. And I started with, first of all, raise your hand if you ever got in trouble for running your mouth. All the hands,
That's me.
right? And raise your hand if someone ever said you had a little bit too much attitude for you. Yeah. So what that tells me is that you have a voice and you have the courage to use it. Now,
That's powerful in and of itself, right?
that
Yes.
right there,
Yeah.
that right there, that means that there's a leader in you,
Mm,
and that
yes.
that there's a microphone inside of you, and don't ever let anybody mute you. You get to turn that up. And so I create a space where we literally turn up inner microphones, and I start them with, here's how you're going to be a performance poet. I know we started this day. No one thought they were going to be a poet. No one thought they were going to be a performance poet. But then I will always write on the board, on my whiteboard, the word poetry. What's the most important part of that word? No, it's not poet. It's the last three letters, TRY.
Right.
We're going to try something.
Yes.
The nursery rhyme, Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. Everybody knows that. They have it memorized. Guess what? Now, once the poem is in your head, we can see what it wants to do with your body. And I'll break them up into little groups, and I'll say, you're going to recite Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star like a zombie. You're going to recite Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star
Ooh.
like a Baptist preacher. You're going to recite Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star like a boy band. You're going to recite Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star like WWE. They get to act out
I love
the
that.
poem. Once they can create that physical connection to something that's already in their head, and
Mhm.
everybody has fun being goofy and being embarrassed and confronting everybody's number one fear, which is public speaking, and they realize that they survived it, they're leaning in.
Yeah.
And once you get them to lean in, then you can get them to pick up pens. Now write what that felt like. Here's a book. Read what somebody else who was confronting something scary. What did that feel like? You have a connection to that person.
Mm-hmm.
So it starts with reading. Reading leads to better writing. Acting out things that you've memorized helps you understand that words are your friends,
Mm-hmm.
and that it's okay to use your voice. It's okay to talk about the fun things. It's okay to talk about the dark things. The first victory is understanding that your story is worthy.
Mm-hmm.
And second victory is telling it to somebody, even if that somebody is your page.
That's good.
And after that, it's fun.
That's good. Yeah, that's good. Henry, did you have anything that you wanted to add?
Yes, yeah, the foundation of writing is being a reader, and definitely read anything. I try to find out what they're reading,
Mhm.
why they're reading those things, because when you go to the familiar, you can meet them there, and then slowly ease them into something unfamiliar. Poetry is not something that many youth talk about, but when you find, I work in small groups, that there's one in there that is brave enough to say, I write poetry.
Mhm.
There's typically others in there, especially if they're close friends that they've showed it to, and they kind of like, yeah, you can do this too, or I've written something like that. And I think that's the hardest thing, is to admit that they've written poetry and then sharing it within that group.
Yeah.
Because just like what they read all the time, there's a certain level of excitement. So I'm looking for how to get them excited about it, and tend to get them to read more of what they have already written in terms of the poetry, and connect it to what they're exciting, and then venture out. Because sometimes, and I probably did it too. Well, I know I did. You get into a certain genre of literature, and you'd
Mm-hmm.
read all of that. Because I remember a time I had cases of comic books that I used draw them, read them, and draw them and read them, and in other books. But going from the familiar, bringing them into the unfamiliar, and then getting them, which this is where it gets kind of scary. This is all outside stuff, but what is in you? I want to hear your story. Because what happens sometimes in the classroom is that they're kind of looking at other people's papers and say, yeah, I do that too. And something sounds familiar, similar. But then when you talk about getting inside of themselves, tapping
Mm-hmm.
into feelings, tapping into memories of family and so forth,
Mhm.
painful memories, joyful memories, I see the faces, because
Mm-hmm.
we don't live in a society where people go around expressing themselves that way.
Right.
And in fact, we see when it comes to expression, somewhat a lot of anger. And when I have male students, when it's things dealing with grief or anything that would cause crying, what you crying about? Be a man. If you're talking with 10, 12-year-old boy, tell him be a man. So you get the change of what you're supposed to express, what's allowed. And so when there are boys within a group, I get them to say, it's okay for me to feel, and it's okay for me to write my feelings, and then it's okay for me to share my feelings. I'm not
Yes.
less of anybody.
Yeah.
I think most young girls, the feeling element in terms of being afraid is not there,
Mm.
but every child at some point, because we'd be a bunch of expressive people when we became adults, they maybe it's from the community they live in or their parents, the emotional expression gets shut down.
Mm.
It gets shut down. And sometimes it's something they've experienced. And I've heard some stories. They
Mhm.
get to the point they're sharing things, and I'll say, write it. Because, maybe you don't want to tell your friend. But it's wonderful because you can see this relief on their face. This is
Mhm.
something I've wanted to tell people. And
Mhm.
they start writing and writing. But something in our society shuts us down and I'm talking about way before the internet and all that. It shuts down our expression. When I'm speaking with Black youth, I
Mhm.
tell them of the importance of our expression. I said, at one time, we could not read or write. And if we attempted to read or pick up a book, we would be killed or maimed. So the mere
Mm.
fact we are in now, and they see the same thing we do in terms of what's going on and the eye contact, all that. But I try to get them to look at themselves and at home, look at themselves because youth are growing. So they see themselves partly through their parents, through their friends, but look at
Mhm.
yourself, talk to yourself. I have them read aloud what they've written. And that
Yeah.
many
Yeah.
people, even adults, they tell me how helpful that is. Because I say, you have to hear yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's a voice in you. Once you allow it to talk to you, allow it to guide you, and not be afraid of it,
Mhm.
some wonderful written work is created, is composed. And
Absolutely.
I just love to see them bloom and get excited about poetry.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Are you both parents?
Yes,
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I
we,
guess I knew the answer to that. That was more for
yes.
everybody else. Um,
Readers, we have 3 daughters and they're all readers and writers. I was like,
Wonderful,
yeah,
wonderful.
yeah.
Yeah, I've got 6 grandbears, and the 9-year-old is reading at the high school level, the 11-year-old is college, and the 14-year-old is off the charts. They all started very, very young.
See? Mhm.
Yes, good. Wonderful. Yeah, I started just asking my son to write his feelings. Like what's going on in your mind,
Mhm.
and that's how we got to poetry. It's a safe place for him. And so my other son, he drums. That's how he works out his emotions. He's a musician, so he
Okay.
plays the drums. But yeah, just reading and writing. He said, Mom, I don't like to write poems, but I just like to write. I said, okay, okay, you
That's
do.
something. That's something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever makes you happy.
Right. Exactly.
But yeah, I really appreciate that pouring into the youth. I have a niece who has started writing poems, and she said God just gave it to me. She said God
Mm.
gave it to me, and it was beautiful, and just wanting to continue to allow her the space to exercise her voice, and I think. Tom, what you said about, somebody told you talk too much, somebody told you were sassy. That's just That's just the leader in you. That's that microphone. Turn it up. Like we don't want you to turn it down. Turn it up. Turn that bad boy up. I
Like
love
that.
it.
Yeah, I like that.
So, all
And,
right,
and,
guys.
and with language becoming so weaponized, the more vocabulary, because I look at words as ammunition, so I want my baby strapped. Because when
Woo!
you go out there,
Yeah.
they are using language against us, against the forces of creativity. Creativity is being seen as something to be squashed and
Mhm.
diluted and buried. And so you've got to be on top of your language game.
Oh,
And so you need to know that your friend is also your associate, is also your homie. Great. But when you get out there in that big bad world, you need to know the word cohort, because you learn how to use that word in context, they're going to give you 10 extra IQ points and they won't even know why.
Yes.
But you have
Yeah.
just become bilingual. And bilingual is not necessarily knowing English and Spanish or English and Tagalog. It might be just knowing the words in the concrete and the words in the streets of power. Once you learn how to do that, and poetry is a magnificent art form for fusing those two, you can go
Yes.
anywhere.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah.
I love that. I start on my PhD this summer. I'm a little scared. I ain't gonna lie to y'all.
You'll
But
be fine. You'll be fine.
it is about being bilingual. But y'all know me, I'm a geek. I'm a math head, right?
Yes,
So
that other
it's
language.
it's
Right.
using math language to tell stories.
Mm.
That's called magic, Rhea. I'm sorry.
He really hates math.
Thomas says she don't
No,
like it
no,
at all.
no,
But yeah, so that's my focus is being able to
that's
use that
magic.
math language to tell stories and help our young adults
Mhm.
navigate a whole different world between STEM and languages. So
Yes, yes, very much needed. Yeah, 'cause science was my background, and I love math. And my roommate was a math major in computer science back in the day when they were creating the programmers. And his the head of the math department said, "Wait a minute, you were with Philip and you like math? You're a biology major, pre-med." I said, "But I've always loved math." And she was like, "You want to convert?" Like, but I got it because I was taking advanced math classes as electives because I love math, and it was like, yeah, I get it.
see, I was goofy like that too.
Yeah, yeah, it's like, what are you guys talking about? And I love sciences, and but we need more scientists. We need more poets. We need more of everything.
Yeah.
But but
We need some more like scientist poets and mathematician
yeah,
That
poets.
yeah,
part.
that'd be
Yeah.
interesting. I think in the past we had these magnificent minds. I remember hearing it was in a lecture referring to the ancient Egyptians, how they used the constellations and they
Hmm.
created, unlike the music we have today, but they used the constellations to compose music instead of
Ooh.
the bars and all that notes.
Hmm.
And I was like, that is freaking amazing.
That
Because it
sounds like something
wasn't
my
just they
son would
looked
know
up and
about.
say, "Oh, shiny, shiny, we like shiny." They created music based on those shiny things. And
That sounds like something my son knows something about because I
yeah,
feel
the drummer. Yeah.
I
See,
feel
I'm waiting
like
for that to come.
I've seen him doing something with like the stars, like
Hmm.
ding
Oh,
ding
there's
ding,
that.
like making rhythms. I feel like I've seen him
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, and now we're finding in science, don't get me talking science, and there's a rhythm throughout the universe.
Absolutely.
So I
Yeah.
think ancient people knew, well, they definitely were more in tune with nature
Hmm.
and the universe and on the planet itself um, than we are. And if we bring that back, that's going to, of course, manifest in writing.
Hmm.
Because if they were like that in the sciences, of course, in the arts, I mean, just look at
Yeah.
those societies and other societies as well.
Right.
So it would benefit us to be more in tune in general.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, because I mean, You can't make science without math. I mean, not science. You can't make
No,
music without math, right?
exactly.
And
I
I,
mean,
Exactly. Yeah.
halves and halves, and that's how we get our notes
Yes.
and
Yes. And the
all of that good
rhythms, the
stuff. So
oscillations, all that. Yeah.
rhythm and all of
Hmm.
that, just all
Oh, yeah.
mathematic. I love it.
Yes. Good
yeah,
luck
my
with
Tama,
your
daughter,
Tama, I'm gonna
PhD.
convert you. You're gonna love math after
Yes.
messing with me for too
Yes.
long. I'm
She's
telling
gonna be
you,
writing
it's
math
a
poems.
happy.
See, I'm gonna write a
You'll
math
be
poem.
writing math poems. Be like, where did that come
you know
from?
what? Let me say
I've got
something
some
to the both.
biology stuff, but I'm like talking about being in leaves because I remember those days. I feel like, where you get that from? I said, you're a nature poet? I said, no. I just remember that stuff. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the body and the cycles, everything. You probably feel it and see it and don't realize what you're feeling and seeing.
I'm
That's
gonna
what it
tell
is.
both of y'all,
And
it's
it's
good to
all
have.
math. Go get you to get into the knotless shell. I know Rhea knows about the
Here's the thing,
knotless shell.
my daughter is a jazz singer and she's got perfect pitch. And so when she comes and tells me things about music and notes, and because she's also a writer, she talks to me in both languages, forgetting that I
Mhm.
can only understand one.
I
Uh,
love it.
Right.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
It makes my heart happy. You'll become trilingual. Watch. We're
Yep.
gonna get you. We're gonna get you speaking
Mhm.
this STEM language we speak of.
See?
like I said, it's good to have dreams.
Oh my God. See, we got to break that. See what I say about breaking down resistance, those wall. You got a wall. See, you can't talk about
You got
breaking
a
down
wall.
walls and stuff, and you putting up walls on yourself. Come on. This is
Yep.
recorded. So your students might find this and say, yeah, I'm gonna be a musician. And
And
I'm,
here's the thing, I actually make my students use math in their poetry.
rhyming scheme. Mm-hmm.
I absolutely do.
All that. Mm-hmm.
Oh,
See?
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's in you.
You,
It's in you. You
it's in
just
you.
gotta
Yeah.
look, let it out. That's
That's
it.
right. Convert.
All right. Well, I always appreciate these times. I'm going to let you both end with one more piece. If you would share one more with us.
Okay.
Um, we have a nerd. She said she's nerding out over here on YouTube. She's loving it. So,
Yeah. Oh, yes.
yes. So thank you so much for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Both of y'all have spent way more time with me today than than other first Sundays
Well, that's good. That's what
because
we're
we
here
had
for.
other meetings. And so I appreciate your time and for being
Thank you.
so amazing, both of you, for your contribution to the art world, to the Black Poet Laureate Society, and just, to your cities. I honor you for being amazing. So, Henry, I'll let you go first this time, and
Okay.
then Tama, we will let you end us out with your poem.
Mm. Most of I have rituals. And of course, as a coffee lover, I start my day, my writing with a cup of coffee. And one morning, I was sitting there waiting. I looked at that cup after finishing the cup of coffee, and it had these interesting patterns in the cup. And those patterns inspired a poem. And I titled the poem, I Am a Cup of Coffee, or I'm a Cup of Coffee. So here it is. And this is actually the second time that I've read this poem, and I've sent it out, and I'm working on my book. I said, well, this definitely for the 14th time will be the last poem of the book. And it will, because I was looking for that ending poem, and this is ideal. I'm a cup of coffee. I'm a fragile being, a cup, soul trapped in flesh and bones, coffee stains left inside me, a vessel, a chipped cup, with streaking hairline cracks barely holding it together, etched scratches made with an orphan spoon, unmatched to other flatware, as a slightly twisted handle bent from a psychic's mind trick. This metal spatula scrapes my insides and touches my skin like a lover's tongue, seeking and craving to release what's trapped inside. Hidden frustrations blocking smiles, forsaken passion to awaken me again. I pour in sugar and swirl it down the black hole, Here comes the bitter river flowing from the past. Each hungry taste drinking new hope. My tongue baptized with silent praises, but each and every morning, I find a way to keep going, lift the blues while sipping and watching the TV news, drink from a wasteland of fear, becoming what's drank. Callous feet hardened by the negative images, walking and fighting who and what I am. Long bloodlines of blackness, crushed remains of blackness, brewed and renewed blackness, sipping with patience. Alone but awaiting phantom lips, those salty lips kiss me. I'm on the edge again. Catch tears and swallow them. The salt removes the bitterness, swirling in this cup of Java joy. Creates a calm, mocking Zen desires between the walled remains. This well, echoing silence. I close my eyes to remember the smell of brewed mountain beans into liquefied and glorified lava flowing to familiar trails and roads until night, while I walk to become lost and found, washing away my sorrow in a gentle rain, spritzing mist, or a thunderstorm soaking clothes. By morning, both leaves scratch dew and a lingering aroma in this cup. My voice still awake, my voice still asleep, though I'm awake, drinking to remember, sitting here, wanting to connect with those gathered beings, roasted, beaten, and crushed, then drowned in tears, poured from the leaves. Now my reflection floats, showing me another way and day, clairvoyant mirror of prophecy, too frightened to look and believe, with third eye images cast from the wind, of smoky, lucid nightmares swirling, passengers cast away into a bonfire. But I dare not reach inside the fire. I'm the kindling and the flames, but heated to crack the porcelain cup, forming deeply glazed stains, where captured hope leaches into the walls of unwashed images. Nothing can clean, feeling dirty, unworthy, but I'm this blackness, layered and bruised inside and outside, to sip and remember the early morning, wondering about what the new day will bring, coffee which finds and makes a way, long, thirsty generations to be me, in this porcelain well to become me, in this porcelain well to become me. I'm a fragile being, a cup, soul trapped in flesh and bones, coffee stains left inside me, a vessel, a chipped cup with streaking hairline cracks, barely holding it together, but I do.
Come on. Come on, scholar.
Yeah, man. Like every time you just you get me every time, man.
Thank you, baby.
You just had me dive into a whole cup of coffee.
Right?
Like it just dive all the way in. I love it.
Uh,
Absolutely beautiful. All right, Miss Tama.
I'm going to end with something absurd.
Oh, good.
Uh, a poem that I wrote from sheer irritation at being on a dating app and blaming all of my friends for not warning me that there would be all of these people, all of these men in dark glasses and holding up fish, or all of these men in 1970s tracksuits taking selfies in the bathroom. I'm not happy that y'all didn't prepare me for this part of it, this experience. So this poem is entitled, "He liked my profile photo because real women wear dresses." To dating app Daniel, still dragging his knuckles on the hard ground of hardened notions of what real women wear. Let me have a word or two with you, boo, about what real women do. Real women have full closets, jeans, sweaters, pumps and purses, hats for our tresses, and yes, tresses, because you never know the kind of day real women might have. Real women build. Real women bend into impossibly intricate shapes to keep from breaking. Real women break. Real women out here giving birth to babies, movements, nations, and change. When real women speak, you should listen. When real women get real quiet, you should run. Real women sing, swing, and do the damn thing. Real women will shake that ass. Real women will beat that ass. And sometimes when some men say something real stupid, real women will say with real disappointment and vexation, really? But real women love real men. Real women love real women. Real women love without labels, but most of all, real women love themselves, in dresses and out of them. Real women love themselves naked. Okay, maybe we don't all the time love ourselves naked, but real women are learning to. Real women know, and know when we don't know. Real women know how to be, because real women been there. Real women do, because real women dare. Real women know how to stand by your side. Real women know how to provide, because when real men have gone missing, real women have worn the pants in the family to keep everything from crumbling into messes. And real women teach their daughters how to recognize and walk in their real power. But sure, real women wear dresses.
You better come on with the real women.
I cannot,
Oh, yes.
I can't tell you how
Way to
irritated I
get
was
real.
when he said that.
Say
Oh,
what? Say it
man.
again.
I said, I can't tell you how irritated I was when I got that text message. Oh, I love your real women wear dresses. I like you. I was like, this brother, yeah.
Well,
Oh, because he thought it was a compliment.
And that's the tragedy.
yeah, that does say something.
Yes. Oh, man. Oh, goodness.
That math wasn't mathing.
That math is not
There
math.
you go. Yeah.
But you know what the crazy thing is, and I am not by any stretch of the imagination a person who has ever put that on my sons, but my youngest son, the very first girl he had a crush on, he said, "Mommy, she's so pretty." And I'll say, "Well, why do you think she's pretty?" He said, "She wears dresses every day." I was like, "Where does that come from?" I
You
don't even
know.
wear dresses every day. Is mommy pretty? I was
You
like,
say,
is
what
mommy
is going on?
pretty?
Maybe the
Where did
teachers
you
are doing it.
get
Yeah.
this? Where did you get it? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But it was something in him.
Mm.
And that was the way he personified it. I think it was just more the the softness of it. I think
Mhm.
that's what he
You
was
think
really
he might
afraid of.
grow up and then one day say the same thing as this guy?
No,
No,
nope. Mommy
he got
fixed.
the he
I
got the
fixed
wrong
that.
mama for that.
I fixed that in the first grade.
Okay. I got you. I got you.
So yes, but no, I think it was just the softness of her, and
Right.
he didn't know how else to explain it, so that was the way he explained it. But we expect for grown men to know how to explain it a little better, so that Tommy don't have to write poems about
I know, really.
him.
And he might have. Wait a minute. She looks familiar. Oh my God, that was me. She wrote a poem about me. Oh my God.
Yes, I hope he watches
Didn't
it.
accept my date request, but wrote a poem. I guess I feel some kind of way. I contributed to her poetry, you know.
Oh, you gotta feel some kind of way about it. Oh
Exactly.
man.
Turn it
Once
around.
again, thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Where can we find you on social media so that people can follow, send money, buy books, all that good stuff?
Henry Jonesing for color, the number 4. at Instagram, and of course everybody's on Facebook. But that's the main place I will send out announcements and things like that. And that Happy National Poetry Month. Let's put that in there. So,
Oh,
yes,
absolutely. I
yes,
totally
yes.
forgot that. Should be
But that's
writing
what you
every
find
day.
me primarily.
Yeah. I'm on Facebook, Tama L. Brisbane, and I'm on Instagram as Creatively Maladjusted. That's my favorite Dr. King quote. The salvation of humanity lies in the hands of the creatively maladjusted. So that's,
So that's your Instagram is creatively maladjusted?
yeah, with CR8.
Oh, so it's different. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
creatively.
Ah, okay.
I
Well,
haven't heard that quote, but I like that.
follow, all of that good stuff. Thank you again, Tama. I'm glad that we got to have you do
Thank
a
you, Ray.
first Sunday. Finally, yes.
This was
When you were
fun.
laureate, you was busy. I'm telling you, I
Yeah.
could not get you on a first Sunday. I was like, every first Sunday she busy. So yes, awesome. Thank you so much, and we'll see you guys in a couple of weeks. Well, I will see you in a couple of weeks,
Yes,
and this will live forever. So share it with all your friends. Tell them that they missed a great conversation if they weren't on with us. And we'll see you, everybody else who's watching, next month in May for First Sundays with Black Poet Laureates. Happy National Poetry Month. If you need a writing prompt, follow me on Instagram because I am posting a writing prompt every day for this month.
nice.
And if you need a writing prompt, that's where you go and get a good writing prompt. Try to write every day. NatPo Ritmo.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. See you guys.
Thank you.